Greetings, I am Tom Earl, and this is my year of depth. We know you could be anywhere, so the fact that you are here today sharing your greatest gifts, your time and energy, it means the world to me. I hope you know that in this moment, you are valued, you are loved, and you are appreciated just as you are. Today's episode is a little bit of a role reversal. Rather than me doing the interviewing, it is a replay where I was a guest on somebody else's podcast on their live show, actually, and they were gracious enough to allow me to share it with you on our podcast. So you might recognize the name. Dijana was a past guest, and so she invited me to be a guest on her live show. And that's what you're going to hear in a second. I'm going to get out of the way and we're going to jump right in. But I really feel like there were some really awesome moments, some new insights that even I hadn't really articulated before. And I think you're going to enjoy them as well. So for folks who want to take their Facebook, Instagram ads knowledge a bit deeper, head over to tomearl.me/ads, tomearl.me/ads, and you can get a couple trainings that will really take it deeper for you. So without further ado, let me get out of the way and we're going to jump right into this episode where I get to be interviewed. So here we go.
My fearless friends, we are up for another fearless and successful live talk show. And we have, I'm not going to say a comeback, but he's a good friend of mine that I have been on his podcast and we had a beautiful interview and he did a training for my students and he's a total rock star. And beyond everything that he's going to invite you to dive into today, he's an amazing human being. He's a father. He's a loving husband. And you know what? I want to introduce you, Tom Earl in the house, the most amazing Facebook ad expert I ever had the pleasure to meet.
What's going on? How you doing today?
I am great. How are you?
I'm doing awesome. I am so grateful and honored to be here today. So thank you for this opportunity to connect with you and your folks.
Are you ready to rock this show?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. So, Tom Earl, where are you tuning in from? Tell us.
I'm out here in Los Angeles. It's, let's see, 54 degrees out, a little bit on the cooler side. But I'm guessing for a lot of other folks, they're sitting in snow. And so enjoying the sunny weather here.
It's -5 Celsius in Sweden.
Oh.
Guys, let's fire this place. Let's warm up. So, Tom, where do you want to start? Like, there's obviously a lot of questions when it comes to Facebook ads, and there's like always something new and cool stuff. And, but where would you say, like, okay, where does this story actually begin? Where do you want to start?
Oh, man. Here's a story that I always share with people. So, when my daughter was born, almost a year ago, super exciting time in my life. Loved it. It was awesome. And one of the first things that the nurses taught us in the hospital was that you have to wash your hands right away. Anytime you before you pick up your daughter, wash your hands. So the easiest way to do that was they had hand sanitizer mounted to the walls everywhere in the hospital. So I just put my hand underneath the hand sanitizer, squirts out. My hands are clean, takes 10 seconds. I can now pick up my daughter, right? And especially when she's crying, you don't want to spend a bunch of time washing your hands, drying them. It's perfect. So when we were getting ready to leave the hospital, I went home on a reconnaissance mission to get us some hand sanitizer around the house because we thought, this is perfect. Let's keep this going. So I go to my local grocery store and go in there to get hand sanitizer. And what do I find? You've heard this story before. The shelves are completely empty, and I am so confused. What is going on? So I go up the street to another place, a Walgreens, cleared there. So I think, okay, let me check on Amazon. I found hand sanitizer on Amazon, but it was $200. I'm trying to figure out what the heck is going on. Of course, a week later, the whole world went into lockdown. All the United States went into lockdown because of COVID-19. And so I went into my house and dug around and I thought, I do have some hand sanitizer somewhere, found some. And interestingly enough, the hand sanitizer had expired. I had had it for almost 10 years, never used it a day in my life. And the reason I share this story is because hand sanitizer was relevant to me during a specific time in my life. Otherwise, it was not relevant at all. Most of us when we put out Facebook ads, we put out ads thinking of our own needs, of our own interests, and we don't actually think, is this relevant for my audience? Now, the internet gives us this illusion that we can have as many big conversations with lots of people all at the same time. When you run Facebook ads as opposed to social media, just organic marketing, you want to try to have specific conversations with small groups of people at scale. So if we go back to the hand sanitizer example, if you wanted to market to me, you could say, Tom, new dad, living in Los Angeles. And you could just write there, new dad living in Los Angeles. Think of a list of fears. What's going on, Natasha? Nice to see you. List of
Hey, superstar.
a list of fears, hopes, aspirations, all those kind of things that you could identify about me to then market to me. But most people approach Facebook advertising trying to market to everyone. And when you have a conversation with everyone, you're not having a conversation with anyone. And so if you have any ads out right now that aren't working, or you're about to put out an ad, I want you to think and ask yourself, who is the right person for this ad? What is the right time in their life that they need to see this? And what is the right piece of content that connects those dots? So I'd say that's the first place to start. Is the more relevant you can be, the more effective your ads are going to be.
Yes, I love this. Let's go deep. So, we will have people who are probably mixed, and will be listening to this, and they will say, okay, I know who are my people. I have a validated offer. So what is my next step? So I know that this sells. Where do I go from there? Do I just, put ads out there and, sell my offer there? Or how do I start? What's the first step?
Yeah, so I'd actually say most people, the other mistake they're making actually are running ads without a validated offer. So I would say that that's a really big assumption. Most people, what happens is they create a product or a service, and they try to sell it to some of their friends or in some Facebook groups, and nobody buys it. And so then they think, oh, all I need is just for this to get in front of more eyeballs. And so then they actually start running ads before validating the offer. So that is one thing I think that people need to be aware of, is that Facebook ads don't solve offer problems. Facebook ads amplify and identify. So if you do have an offer that is validated, then you need to ask yourself, what was the process that I was using organically to sell this? What was the questions that I asked? If you're selling on the phone, what were the questions that your customer asked before they purchased? What were the objections that they had? What were the hesitations that they had? And then what were the things that you said that helped them overcome those hesitations and those objections? What was the pieces of content that maybe you put out organically that got the most amount of comments that led to the DMs that had the conversation? So really what you're trying to figure out is, if you have a validated offer that you've been using organically, you have to then figure out, okay, what was it, so that we can then reproduce it at scale. So that's what you got to figure out first, and then that's what you would do next. The thing with, let me just pause to see if that makes sense. Any questions on that?
Natasha is saying yes, yes, yes. She is 100% in. We know that because she's also one of your students and raving fans. And we have Dijana, who is also tiptoeing into the ad. So yes, I think it was stories in my case. Yes, yes, yes. So Natasha recognizes that she was doing the same thing. Yes, you're going into the right direction.
Awesome. Glad to see you here, Natasha. Appreciate you. So I'd say, the other thing that common mistake folks are making is, when you think through let me start with this another story. Obviously, my daughter's a big part of my life, so we got lots of stories like that. So sometimes she has some favorite toys or a favorite piece of clothing or something like that, and it might be buried underneath a pile of all these other toys. But if she sees even a corner of it out of her eye, she will crawl across from the other side of the room, and we're trying to figure out what's going on. She'll dig through all of the toys and from the very bottom pull out her very favorite one. And so if you're going to run ads, if you're going to be a marketer, you have to be a student of human psychology. And so what it already tells me is, by the age of 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, we already have preferences as human beings. And so for when you market to your audience, you need to be aware of what are their preferences? What are the things that are going to move your audience? What are the things that bother them? What are the things that excite them? And what you need to do is use those as a bridge to start the relationship. And so instead of going to somebody and saying, hey, I'm Tom, I'm a Facebook marketer, and down below, I have a free resource that's going to show you how to set all your ads up. It's free. It's going to be awesome. Just put your email in and I'll get it to you. That's like 95% of all of the ads that we see, right? I introduce myself. I try to agitate your pain point, and then I say my freebie is your solution. Then I sign up for that freebie and I try to sell to you through email. That's like 95% of ads that are out there, which means people are inundated. They are oversaturated with that kind of marketing. Instead, let's say I was to know that your favorite singer was Beyonce, and I was to put out a piece of content that said, hey, here are 5 branding strategies Beyonce uses that you can use too. And I have a video below. It's 10 minutes long. It's 20 minutes long that I go over each one of those. I don't ask for anything in exchange other than for you to watch it right there. You don't have to give me your email, your phone number, anything. Okay, you now watch this. Let's say you watch 20% or more of that video. I then do what's called retargeting, where I put you into a new audience of people who you're now familiar with me. You've watched at least 5 minutes of one of my videos. Now I can start to say, hey, if you want to learn how to apply what I taught you in that other video, now what do you think about giving me your name, phone number, and email in exchange for something for free? And so most people are trying to go for the ask too soon without actually forming a relationship. And what happens when you do that is you end up paying more to make that happen, and you get less of an impact. Versus if you build the relationship first, costs you less in ad spend, and you actually get a greater return by playing the long game.
I love this. This is such a big point. And hi, Anthony. We're going to go to your question as well, but just want to stop here because retargeting is such a key. And what you just said, I think that is so, so valuable. You give them a video where they don't need to opt in into email or whatever. It's there. Watch it. You don't need to give me your email. Just watch it. If it's of value, then I'm going to retarget you and I'm going to offer you something.
Exactly.
That's huge.
Exactly.
That's huge. Because I think that people, we are past over freebie hunters.
Yeah.
I think that era is like, okay, no more freebie hunters. We don't want freebie hunters. Because they at the end, like, that's what they are. Freebie hunters. They will download gazillion freebies and they will try to puzzle everything together and nothing will work. And then this coach is bad. This agency is bad. Now we know, give them value up front, that it's on the page, right? We are talking about Facebook page. You can't run ads in your group yet or in your Facebook profile. So on your page, you have a video like this one. So this would be potentially something that we could run ads to, right?
Yep.
And then people would watch and we would retarget. Perfect. Tell me, what is the common mistake when people are retargeting their audience?
Well, I would say the first common mistake is that people aren't retargeting, that people are putting everything cold traffic. And I can actually show you. I have a slide I can show you. Let me see if I can screen share. Okay.
That's fun.
All right. So let's say you have a budget of $300 that you want to spend, whether it's, because I could be totally wrong. I think most people, when they're starting off, have somewhere between $10 to $50 a day that they can spend on Facebook ads. Now, I could be wrong. Maybe your audience is balling and they're spending, thousands, but this is usually most people who are wondering, okay, I have a, very small budget. I need to make that money work. So if you think you have a $300 budget and a freebie is usually going to cost you, if you're, let's just say on average, $5 per person that opts in. And for folks who maybe are unfamiliar with the language, basically a freebie is, let's say I have a free PDF or a free video series or something like that, where you then say, okay, I'll take that in exchange. Here's my name and email. Okay, so usually it costs people about $5 every time somebody gives you their name and email in exchange for a freebie. Okay, so if you have a $300 budget, you're going to get about 60 of those leads, right? So 60 times 5, $300. Now, most people, what they do then is they'll send out about 1 to 3 emails introducing themselves and building rapport before they pitch. That's usually what happens. Okay.
Yes.
And then you pitch on the 4th email. Now, usually there's a huge drop off of people who actually are going to open your 4th email. We're going to be really generous and say, let's say of those 60 people, 10% of them actually open your pitch email, which is 6 people of those 60. 6 divided by 300 means it costs you $50 to pitch. It costs you $50 to pitch to each one of those people. Or you can just look at it as I paid $300 for the chance to sell to 6 people. Now, we're going to be generous again. Let's say you have a 10% conversion rate, which I think is high. You're not going to make a sale. And this is why most people will spend about $300 to $500 on Facebook ads with the freebie thing. They won't make a sale and they'll say, my Facebook ads don't work. It must not work for me. And this is the same thing for webinars, right? Let's say it costs you $5 for somebody to register for your webinar, which this is generous. Webinars are usually more expensive. You're going to get 60 people to register. Let's say you have a 10%. And when you take into account people who don't show up, 10% of people actually stay until the very end. Then that means that 6 people stay until the very end. And so it costs you $50 per person to actually pitch them. Let's say on your webinar, you have a 10% conversion rate. You're not going to make a sale. This is once again, people, and we hear this from all of the gurus. If you ever take an online, course on how to create a course, they say, make your course. They spend all this time on teaching you to make a webinar. You go out and you run ads and you don't make a sale. And it's so frustrating. And it's because the numbers are not in your favor. And if we were to just use self-awareness for ourselves, I want you to think of, when was the last time you were scrolling on Facebook, somebody you've never heard of and that none of your friends have heard of, and that they don't have a cosign by someone you trust? You know what I mean? It's not like, I've never heard of this person, but they have an Amy Porterfield testimonial. You know what I mean? Like somebody you've never heard of, none of their testimonials are people you've heard of. They're completely new. Okay, how many times have you then signed up for their webinar, actually showed up to the webinar, watched the entire webinar with undivided attention, and then when they pitched, you bought their product? How many times have you done that? And I would say probably never, right? And I would say, let's be generous. Let's say once, okay? Even still, if it was, let's say 10 times, you did it 10 times. Then you think of how many ads like that do you see that you never signed up for, or B, you signed up for, but you didn't even show up to the webinar, or you showed up, but you were multitasking, or you showed up, but you didn't stay till the end, or you showed up and you stayed till the end and you thought, wow, this is really interesting. And then what happens is they agitated a pain point that you have. And then what you probably did is started searching around for their competition and probably bought from somebody else. They paid for you to show up. They paid you $60 to pitch to you, but they didn't follow up. They didn't continue to build the relationship outside of email nurture sequences. And you probably signed up for somebody else. So logically, and in terms of the data, this doesn't make any sense. So you're like, okay, Tom, you've ruined my life. Then what should I do? Let's see here.
Tell me a like, okay, now we see Marie Forleo. Obviously, she's pitching her, let's just make this distinction. She's making her, what is it, B school launch, right?
Yeah.
So she has these ads. So how can we compete even with Marie Forleo? And she has this roadmap or guide or whatever. You see her ads everywhere. What is she doing that we are not doing?
Okay, well, there's two questions in there. What is she doing that we're not doing, and how can we compete with her?
Yes.
Okay, so what she's doing that you're not doing, let's remove skill. Because I don't know what the skill is of the people listening, right? Because she's like the best of the best in terms of her skill level. So let's say you're the same on skill. I am as good as Marie Forleo in what I'm doing. For one, you have not been a Oprah featured speaker. You have, like, you know what I mean? So if we think of all of the cosigns that she's been on Amy Porterfield, Lewis Howes, Brennan Burchard, Tony Robbins, Lisa Nichols. If you think of all of the other people in her niche that we respect, they have all co-signed her. So she has brand recognition. She has cosigns by people you respect. And she's not spending $10 to $50 a day on Facebook ads. She's spending thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on Facebook ads. And so she can play a numbers game.
Okay, I want to stop here.
Okay.
You said something that is really key: brand recognition. And hopefully we'll have time to go back to that. That's one thing, building brand awareness, which you can totally do also with what we discussed previously, giving value up front. And the second thing you said, her budget is obviously like millions of dollars, right? Yes. So obviously we can't compete with that. What do we have out there? So what do we do?
Okay. So what I want people to do is to become niche famous for a very small group of people.
Yes.
Marie Forleo is niche famous, rock star level. Okay.
Yes.
I want you. So if we go back to my hand sanitizer example, she was hand sanitizer famous during COVID. I want you to become hand sanitizer famous to new dad Tom, right? Very specific need, very specific audience. Because what Marie Forleo can't do is she doesn't have the time to have these small, intimate conversations that you do. Okay. So I want you to become niche famous within your warm traffic. And so what warm traffic means is anybody who's ever interacted with anything of yours before. Specifically, I want you to do that using video views. Okay, let me show you how this breaks down. So let's say you have a budget of $300 and you get people to watch your video for 20 cents. Okay, 20 cents for someone to watch your video. So that's going to be 1,500 video views. So let's say that people watch 20% or more of a 20-minute video. So that's 4 minutes, right? So we're only counting a video view as 4 minutes or more. That's what we're saying, okay? So if we take 4 minutes times 1,500 of those views, that's 100 hours. So people watched you for 100 hours for $300. And so I want you to think of what is going to be a bigger impact for somebody to give you, their name and email, right? And they look at your freebie, for someone to maybe watch your webinar, or for somebody to watch you. I mean, it's not going to be one person, or to get 100 hours worth of your content watched. And so, obviously when we break it down like this is what's going to be impactful. And so this is how you compete with the Marie Forleos and those kind of folks, is middle of funnel. This is what we call middle of funnel. Middle of funnel means people who have heard of you now. Top of funnel is what we call a cold audience. Someone has never, ever heard of you. Middle of funnel, you just keep over and over again using a video like this interview. So if we were running your ads, you would put out this middle of funnel. As soon as we were done, you would put this into your middle of funnel. And every single week, if you're doing these interviews, you'd pay 20 cents for folks to watch these interviews. And you're going to create so much brand recognition within that group of people that when you are ready to sell, they are so warmed up, they're so top of mind that you're going to pay so much less for them to start to consider purchasing from you because you warm them up in a relationship building way that was low cost but high impact.
This is insane. You guys, I want you to go back and screenshot this and check it. And, I want you to take action on it. By the way, drop your niche in the comments so we can like play and we can see what is your tiny niche. This is huge. This is huge because I know a little bit about ads, video views. Okay, so I know a little bit about that. And I'm a digital marketer. Obviously, I know few stuff. I don't know so much about Facebook ads, but if there would be like, let's say that we have people who are not so about video views, they don't know what is that, and they're thinking, okay, Tom, you blow my mind. I get it. It's cost effective what you're just saying, but I don't know. I still don't know how to do it. It's overwhelming. You help me. What do I need to do so I don't burn my money?
Okay, so they're saying everything you told me is awesome, but I still don't get it. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay, so what you'd want to do, and so one of my mentors is Kurt Malley. So I always think it's important to give a shout out to your mentors. So here's what you'd want to do is you'd want to get together 3 to 5 30-minute, 10 to 30-minute videos. Okay, 3 to 5 10 to 30-minute videos of you giving some sort of value, right? So you're teaching something, you're doing interviews, whatever it might be, but you want those to be centered around, you need to know your audience, centered around agitating the pain points of your audience and then providing solutions. So for example, I could have videos on Facebook ads where one Facebook ad video could be, one of the videos could be how to spend $10 to $30 a day wisely, right? That could be it. And so then for 30 minutes, I'd break down how you would do that. Maybe the next video then is understanding the ads you're running so that you will know, now that you're running it, how do you analyze it? So for some of us, this might be the stuff that we used to do, or if you used to do like a 3-series freebie where watch these 3 videos in exchange for your name and email. Instead of hiding those behind, give me your name and email, we're going to now run those as ads, the actual videos as ads. And so you would think of, okay, where do you think your audience lives on Facebook? So what would you say who are for your audience? Who are some of the people's content that they're consuming? Some of the big names, Dijana, who would you say are for you?
Marie Forleo.
Okay, Marie Forleo, what's another one?
Tony Robbins.
Tony Robbins.
Yeah, definitely. Or, really closely. And when I started ads, I would actually use audiences from Carrie Green, Female Entrepreneur Association. I think she serves the audience that I serve, female entrepreneurs. So that really gave me kind of a perspective, who are my people, and I kind of stalk my people who are liking her pages, and I kind of did my market research really diligently. So yeah, definitely from the start, she was the one.
Okay, so would you say women who either like Marie Forleo, Tony Robbins, or the last person that you just said?
Yeah.
Okay.
Carrie Green.
Carrie Green. Do you want folks who live in Europe or the States or both?
Both.
Okay, is there you want to think easier? Like I always think of, if someone was to walk in the room and be walking up to me and I think, oh yeah, this is going to be an easy sale, where there's not going to have to be a little bit of, well, what about this? What about that? I mean, what would be the easiest sale? Both, or is it easier to sell to people in Europe?
Europe, definitely,
okay.
Because they can relate with me. Yeah.
So that's the question we all have to ask ourselves is, when you're getting started with Facebook ads, you don't have the budget to, overcome some barriers. So you want to think, what is the easiest sell? And then have patience that you will get to the, so once you get your funnel cracking and you got money coming in, now you can start to target the people in the States, but don't make your life harder than it has to be. Okay. So women who like Marie Forleo, Carrie Green, or Tony Robbins, they live in Europe. Now you're going to put out those 3 videos, top of funnel, which means to those people, they've never heard of you, They just like those people. So you say, Facebook, get me in front of the people who like those 3 people that are women that live in Europe. Now you put out those videos and you would create what's called a custom audience. You'd create that on the back end in Facebook. And you would say, hey, Facebook, retarget anybody who's watched 20% or more of those 3 30-minute videos that I put out targeting Tony Robbins, Kerry Green, and Marie Forleo. Now, anybody who now watched 20% or more of those videos gets put into what we call your middle of funnel. Also in your middle of funnel, though, is anybody who's gone to your website, gone to one of your landing pages, is on your email list, liked your Facebook page, liked one of your Facebook posts, watched one of your Facebook videos, Instagram video, all of that. All those people, you create custom audiences for them. Now they're in your middle of funnel. You're also going to have another 3 videos, or it can be the same ones that you use for the top of funnel, but you want to have, 3 to 5 other 10 to 30-minute videos in this middle of funnel, so that every day I'm coming across a new one of your videos. And maybe at first I watch 2 minutes of it. Then maybe I see another video and say, let me save this so I can watch it on my walk tonight. I watch it on my walk tonight. I'm getting more and more inundated with your awesomeness. Then you want to add into that same middle of funnel your offer ads. So that could be your freebie, or that could be your actual direct sale, or it could be your book a call, or it could be going to your messenger. Now you start to add in the conversion ads because people are warmed up enough. Now you can start to make that ask. Now, everything I told you, obviously that was like a ton of information, but hopefully it was a good start.
I get it, and I know that, but why I brought that up, because Natasha commented, and I know that she's your student, and she commented, this is what happened to me. She burned her money when she started, and she didn't know that you shouldn't put your freebie and all this good stuff. And I know that she is really, how do I say this? She is really satisfied with the method that you teach. And what you just explained is not just, it's a complicated thing, but I think that the most important thing is also just start where Tom gave you a little framework, and where to start. Don't start with freebies, start with video, and start with the top of the funnel. And then what people are doing, the biggest mistake is that you're not relevant to your audience, and you're not sending the relevant value. So I think that start there. I think that times where we burn our money to the ads are gone, because we have also support and all this, great resources. Can you give us a little bit? Okay, so where do I get the support? Where do I get the help? How can that be in a form of you helping them?
Okay, so if they're thinking this sounds awesome, how do I take this deeper? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
So we do have two ways that we serve people primarily. One is we are a Facebook ads agency. And so our goal is we serve course creators, coaches, and people with membership programs or thought leadership. And our goal is to take every single part of the marketing process off your plate so you can do what you do best, which is to show up and serve. So if you're making $10K a month already, then you can reach out to me. Tom@tomearl.com is my email, or on social media @TomEarlArtist, or just go to tomearl.com. You'll find all the information there, and reach out and we can get on a call and see if you qualify for us to run your ads for you. However, most folks where they're at, probably listening to this, they want to get to 10K a month. And so we have a program where our goal is to get you in 10 to 12 weeks to making 10K a month. And what we do is we show you the exact process that we're using with our clients who are spending 15K a month with us to work with us. We're going to show you exactly what we're doing with them live on Zoom every single week. We're going to show you how to set everything up. And then once you set it up, we're going to review it with you each week, having you actually share your screen. We're going to look inside your ads manager. We basically hold your hand, walk you through, here's exactly what we need you to do each week. We want to get you to 10K a month selfishly so you can become one of our agency clients, and then we can help you scale. So that's what we do. We show you how to do that. And it's different than a course in that the goal isn't to learn, the goal is to implement. We want to show people our target audience is people who want to ultimately outsource their Facebook ads. They just don't have the money yet. So we want to show you, okay, here's enough of what you need to know to start making the 10K, but you're not going to become a Facebook ads expert because you don't want to be. You want to become an expert in what you're selling. We just want to show you how to get there.
Perfect. Awesome. And we're gonna put all the contact in the description, and also I think that Natasha is a pure testimony. She's here. She wants to learn from Tom deeper and deeper, and she's still his student. But we have also a question from Anthony. Do you train people to do what you do? Is that a question to me or to Tom? I'm not sure. Because I'm definitely a knowledge broker.
Sure. Why don't you start then? Why don't you answer and then I'll answer?
Do you train people to do what you do? Do I train people? Yes. Natasha is also my client. So she's a public speaking coach. She's a speaker coach. So Tom, you were asking Tom. But yes, I do train people how to become a knowledge broker too. So Tom, this was question to you. Sorry.
I'd say, so the famous yes and phrase. So we don't teach you how to become, me and my team, we are, humble brag, your top 5% of Facebook ad buyers, we believe in our competition, right? We're the best of the best. We're not going to show you how to become the best of the best Facebook marketers because our belief is that's not what you want to do. What you want to do is the area that you are the best and the best in, whether it's teaching people how to live with purpose, whether it's you're a mindset coach, whether it's you have a dog walking school, whatever that is, we want to show you how to start making 10K a month because we believe your ultimate desire is to outsource your marketing so you can fully focus on your passion. So what we do is we show other knowledge brokers how to use Facebook ads so they can ultimately outsource their Facebook ads.
Awesome. I think that's such a beautiful why. And I know that you do it and here's a deepest reason, I know when we connected and you said, I have this program and we talked a little bit about this and I said, that's huge. And I know your heart. And guys, if you felt that Tom is genuine, honest, and he knows a ton of stuff about the Facebook ads, give me a yes in the comment. But also, when you were talking about this is the goal. I want to help these people wholeheartedly to not bother with ads anymore. And I'm going to get you to that level where you don't need to even think about Facebook ads anymore. They are running by someone else and you're just money is flowing through your account. And I love that because this is such a beautiful, beautiful why.
I appreciate that.
Oh, we have Raymond on the show. Hey, Raymond. So the question that Anthony had, I want to spend another 5 minutes to go to Q&A. Is that okay, Tom?
Let's do it. That's a great question. I like it.
So the question was, do you recommend to use live Zoom video calls to create your courses or pre-recorded?
Yeah, great question. So I recommend for most folks that you should sell your course before you record it. So the answer is I do recommend you use live Zoom video calls because what happens is a lot of people record their course. It takes them a long time, 3 to 4 months, sometimes 6 months, sometimes a year. And then they go to sell it. And sometimes heartbreakingly what happens is you find, the thing you thought people wanted, you were just guessing, which is we're all guessing until we actually start selling. And so then you start selling and you find, oh, what I thought my audience wanted, they actually want this. And if it's already recorded, you can't pivot. If it's not recorded yet, you can say, here's the idea, here's what I'm doing. And I recommend you say, I'm taking a small group of people through. It's going to be a beta program. You get, this intimate support that no other cohort's going to get. And then you get 5 to 10 people to join you, charge as much as you can for it, and then take them through, record it live on Zoom calls. And then you can pivot each week as you need to when you see a live audience giving you their feedback. And then, of course, you take those Zoom calls, upload those to Kajabi, and then start selling it as evergreen. So I do recommend that versus pre-recorded.
Did you hear the man? That was the speech. Yes, yes, yes. I couldn't agree more. Like, this is the ultimate mistake that I did back in the days when I launched my first course. Of course, I built it before I had anyone sign up. And then crickets. I spent 3 months building my course. Here's a lesson. I spent 3 months building a course without a proper market research. I didn't know if that's relevant to my audience, but I did. I burned myself. And at the end, I got one yes from a friend for half a price.
Wow.
So yeah, sell it before you build it.
Yep.
Remember, friend,
Agreed.
Sell it before you build it, and then you tweak it, and then you're gonna evolve as a brand, as a course creator, as an expert, and your course will evolve as well. And Natasha has a great point. Me too. And then Diana taught me to sell before creating. Yes, we teach the same stuff, Tom. What's that?
That's why we linked up. Meant to be.
Oh my goodness, you guys! We have 1 minute, so if you have a question, now is your time. But I do have a question for you, Tom. What do you think? Where are actually Facebook ads and Instagram ads? Where are we going? What is the trend in 2021? Will the prices go up? Well, is that even a relevant question? What are we looking at when we say, okay, should we do Facebook ads or not? Like what?
Oh man, it's a tough one. I would say privacy is going to be the biggest conversation in 2021, and censorship, because here in the States, our president, our ex-president, was inciting riots, inciting terrorism, and so Donald Trump's Twitter and Facebook were shut down. And so there's a lot of, people pushing back on, well, who gets to say, who gets to speak, and who doesn't. And then you have the iPhone updates coming out that is going to attempt to block some of Facebook's retargeting abilities. Mm-hmm. So privacy and censorship, I think, are going to be some of the biggest conversations. Facebook ads are inherently political, right? Who gets their voice heard, who gets censored, who doesn't, what messages get out there, which ones don't. And so the things that we're talking about now, building deep relationships, is going to be the thing that's going to save you through all of that. If you're building genuine relationships that are built upon trust and authenticity, you're not going to have to worry about an app update or an algorithm change messing up your whole flow, because people are going to continually volunteer to raise their hand and say, I want to be included, continue retargeting me, keep me in your middle of funnel. And so that's why if you keep putting out authentic content that makes the world a better place, all of this stuff's going to work as long as you keep combining it with the right strategies.
Did you love this answer or not? Like, thank you for your beautiful honest heart. Like, seriously, you guys, this is so beautiful, because, you built with this answer, you brought so much honesty and trust. This was phenomenal. Do we have a time, 1 minute to answer this one?
Let's do it.
What's the best way to get the info for the market research? Ooh, are there any areas you feel are really saturated in markets right now? I'm going to say just one word. It's not about saturation. It's about sophistication, my friend.
Expand. I love that.
Yeah.
You want expanding?
What you actually said, we are not saturated. More you are sophisticated, more you are niche down, easier is to attract your ideal client. You don't want to work with everyone, right? Be sophisticated, be unique, be like freemium.
Yes. Yeah. I would say if you are going to try to sell personal protection equipment for COVID, that's probably saturated. You are going to be in a race to sell it for the cheapest possible price. And that's really for anything. If you are going to be you see a lot of time on some Facebook ads where people troll and will say, oh, great, a coach who teaches coaches how to make money. And it's like people, joke about that kind of stuff. If you're in a market that you believe is saturated, you have to differentiate yourself through the relationships. Otherwise, the only way you're going to be able to differentiate yourself is price, and then you become in a race to the bottom. And so when you have what's the best way to get info for the market research, you first of all just use the tools that are at your disposal. Google whatever your niche is. So for mine, if I wanted to figure out my niche, I'd Google, hey, how do I learn more about Facebook ads? And then I would see the people who are teaching how to learn more about Facebook ads. Who of those people seem to have gathered together what looks like my audience? And then I would start to read their comments. I'd start to read their questions. I'd start to look at the hashtags they're using. I'd start to see the questions that don't seem to be answered. But then you actually have to start running the ads using what you feel like is your gut thoughts, your gut guess on what your audience wants. Then once you start running those ads, the data isn't going to lie. If the ads are really expensive, it means that we go back to where we started with my whole story. It means it's not relevant. So then you have to rework your message. How do you get more relevant? And the way you get more relevant is two things. You need to stand up and build up your audience's heroes, and you need to attack their villains. Okay? So you need to think of who are their heroes, and their heroes don't have to be actual people. By heroes, we mean what are their aspirations? What are their dreams? What are the things they're always after? So for example, with my audience, their dreams are to be able to ultimately outsource their marketing because they have a predictable sales process going. That's their heroes. Who are my audience's villains? The algorithm. It's always changing. Sleazy sales tactics. I don't want to have to sell using this sleazy sales tactic.
Kern, yeah.
What'd you say?
Frank Kern. No, I'm just being cheeky.
Oh man, Frank Kern's a good guy. I like Frank Kern. But if your audience is, and I'm not trying to diss his name, but if your audience, if that was one of their villains, like, do you want to sell? Like people always say to me, I'm sick of ClickFunnels style selling. Then I could be like, my audience, are you sick of using ClickFunnels style of selling? Why don't you use heart-centered entrepreneur? People are like, yeah, that's me. So think of what are your audience's villains? What are their heroes? And you need to speak to both. And that's how you become more and more relevant.
This is so beautiful. Like, Tom, I could listen to you like forever. This was so fun. One of the things that I just want to add, what you said 100%, I just want to add also, like, we all read books, probably like more now than ever. Like maybe you listen to books, but Amazon is a good place to start to do your market research. Just go and ask yourself, what is my audience reading? That's one of the biggest. My audience reads Tony Robbins or Marie Forleo. Everything is figureable. What are people saying in their reviews about Marie Forleo? Okay, I want to target that. I want to speak to these people who are saying, she changed my life because blah, 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 blah. And this is what you can essentially use into your market, into your advertising, marketing, whatever. So yeah, Amazon is also a great way for me.
I love that. And I'd add on that you should look for the 3-star reviews on Amazon, because in the 3-star reviews, they're going to say what they loved and what they didn't love. And then you can actually start to copy and paste those language. So if somebody says, let's say they, what's that? How to Be a Badass at Making Money by Jen Sincero, right? Let's say they're on there and they say, normally all this woo-woo stuff is all just heady with no actual practical tips. What I loved about this one is it did blah, blah, blah. The only thing it didn't leave off though was, it was too long. Then you could put out an ad that says, are you sick of most, manifestation advice is all woo-woo without any practical tips? Well, here's a step-by-step guide to do it that isn't too long, right? And you can take people's exact words and turn it into an ad.
I love this. Oh my goodness. Okay, you guys, Tom, thank you so much. I learned a ton. If you guys learned a ton, give us a yes in the chat. We have Raymond. We're going to finish with this one. you go on your hero journey so you can become a guide for them. Yes, Raymond, we are guides. We are not heroes. Our audiences are heroes. And I just want to say thank you, Tom, for jumping in here and, really giving us an insight. Guys, are you ready to rock and roll your ads? Give me yes in the comment. Anthony says yes. Excellent. Yes. Is this recorded? Yes, it is. Natasha, yes. Okay, you guys, have a beautiful afternoon, evening, wherever you are in the world. Tom, thank you again. We're going to speak soon.
It's my pleasure. And anyone that would like to continue the conversation, the best way for us to do that is in the DMs, whether on Facebook or on Instagram. So you can go to my website, tomearl.com, and you can find my Instagram and Facebook links there, or just search me on Facebook. Send me a DM. Let's have a conversation. I'd love to know, what inspired you the most or any clarifying questions you have. And I want to thank you so much for inviting me to be on here. It means the world to me, and I appreciate all you're doing.
Always a pleasure. Ciao. Bye.
One more thing. I'd love to continue the conversation. Feel free to join me at tomearl.com/join. Subscribe below, or let's connect on social media. Tom Earl Artist. Thanks again for watching.